Okay guys, I'm gonna try something new. I'm gonna try something different because till now the, I don't know, 4 or 5 vlogs that I've done, that I've made, they have all been in German, and I'm gonna try to do one in English so that you guys can actually see, oh, he can speak English. He doesn't just say that he speaks English, but he actually does. So, well, first of all, before anyone here starts screaming, yay! You sound like a crowd. Well, basically, I am a crowd. So, and I've just done another 30-minute vlog in German, and basically I'm quite used to German at the moment. So, I actually need to switch off my German brain and try to get used to English again, and maybe the accent will change a bit more, and I'll concentrate a bit more. And I guess the biggest problem is that I'm, well, talking to myself and not actually talking to someone else. I found out that if I speak to someone from, let's say, Texas, maybe certain words change a bit. If I talk to a Brit or to an Irish guy, then maybe the accent will change a little bit more. You just get used to what the other guy says and how they say it, and you accumulate the language, and you just kind of adapt. So anyway, first English vlog. It's just gonna be a very short one, so I'm not trying to actually have an awesome big vlog with amazing topics, and you can basically see that the traffic is pretty shit. I'm on my way home from Shinjuku, and as you can see, the traffic is a mess. I was on the highway before, and it was so that on the highway the traffic was so bad that my navigation system actually rerouted me, and I'm driving, I have no idea where I am. Just follow the blue line. So I'm following the blue line. So the purpose of this vlog is to say thank you to a dear friend, Steven. He went home. He used to live here, but he went home, I believe, last summer, and he went back to Texas. So the first English vlog is basically about him, because he's thinking about coming back here, and I hope that he does. And he's actually watching my German vlogs, even though he doesn't speak a word of it. Maybe he knows Scheiße and Schwanzkopf. That was about it. Other than that, I don't know, maybe he'll tell you. So he asked me yesterday again if he could ride with me when he comes back, and I said, of course you can, that'll be fun. Do vlogs with 2 people, we can go up to the mountains. It's so much more fun to ride with people you know, rather than to ride by yourself. And I'm actually quite excited to hear that he's coming back, and I hope that he does. Well, he mentioned yesterday that my vlogs had inspired him to actually get the license, because he doesn't have a license at the moment. I believe he can drive cars, but he doesn't have a motorcycle license, so he will have to get that. And once again, a reminder, I keep telling you, you will have to have a license up to, well, 3 months before you come here, otherwise you can't transfer it. So you can't get a license and come to Japan and say, I want a Japanese license. You have to have the license for, I believe, at least 3 months. So don't take my word for it, you have to make sure, because maybe it's 6 months or 4 months or 3 months and a week, and then you're fucked. So basically, you have to have the license before. I believe they put that in place because they wanted to, well, keep Japanese from going on vacation, getting an American license and coming back and just transferring it. So that doesn't really make sense. So at least 3 months, because I believe that's the longest that people can stay in most countries as a tourist. So, but that's just my personal opinion. I have no idea if that's actually true. So, another thing, very different thing. Germans can walk into any, well, the office with their license you have to apply for a translation, which you may get from the embassy, which you also may get from the JAF, which is the Japanese Automobile Federation. And I believe this is the same thing for Australians and English and Canadians and God knows for who else. So they've screwed the Americans over, but what I've heard and seen so far, your licensing system seems to be rather easy. So the Japanese just want to make sure that you can actually ride or drive or whatever. So as far as I know, and I'm guessing here quite a lot, is that you have to do a driving test and you have to do a written test, which is hopefully in English, otherwise you'll have fun with that one. So you will need to bike lane fits off. So you will need to have your license for at least 3 months. Then you come here, you can get the translation. You will need to do an eye test, which is, I don't know, not really difficult. Look at some dots. It was kind of funny because I tried to do that eye test and he was like, you can point, and I'm like, nah, I know Japanese, I know Migi and Ue and Shita and Hidali, and I kept messing it up, right? The arrow was to the right and I kept saying Hidali, and he was like, eh? But he could actually realize that I was just messing up my Japanese, so I was just being a fucking idiot. He just said, you should just point. If the arrow is to the right, just point to the right. If the arrow is up, just point up. And he would then say like B1. That was like a grid, and there were numbers and letters, and the arrows got bigger and smaller, and it was kind of funny. So anyway, I passed that. I think that will be the least of your concern, to pass that. Once you do that and the written test is done, I heard that you, very similar to what you guys do in America, you just show up for the driving test and you need to drive and, I don't know, don't cross the line and stay within the box and, I don't know, do a, what did they call it? I watched something on YouTube yesterday. Do a short stop or full stop or something using both brakes. Like, they made it sound so sophisticated to brake a motorcycle with both brakes, and I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? How are you guys braking? Do you like put your feet on the ground, or? Of course you use both brakes. What other way is there to use both brakes? So basically, I heard and I read online, because I was looking into transferring my license, and I was confused at the beginning because I thought everybody would have to do what the Americans do, because the guy who wrote this information on his homepage was probably American, so he wrote all of this stuff that sounded really crazy to me. So anyway, I looked into it and I read it all, and he said that basically 95% of all Americans fail the driving test in Japan. And the problem with that is, I mean, it's probably true, but the problem is that you guys just show up and put down 10,000 yen and believe that you can pass it. And I mean, you have no idea, and neither do I, of the requirements, right? And now it's a bit controversial, and I think it's quite funny, because once you fail, they will tell you or ask you if you want to join this kind of training course. And the training course is done by, I'm not sure if it's driving schools or if it's actually the same guy, the tester. And online there was a lot of chatter about that they fail people on purpose so they can sign them up for the training course to just press more money out of them. And I was like, well, that's one way of looking at it, but on the other hand, if you don't know the course and you don't know what you need to do, and this guy gives you some vague directions in English, and they seem to be very strict, maybe the chance is high. I mean, apparently 95% that you guys are gonna fail. So please don't, Stephen, don't take my word for it. Don't think I'm trying to scare you or anything. It would be awesome to have you ride, and I'm very sorry that it's such a piece of cake, walk in the park for me to transfer that license. The worst thing was sitting on my ass in the waiting room for like an hour, and you have to really like sweat blood and water and get your damn license transferred. So, but you will get over it. There's a lot of information. I'm saying this to the American and English speaking audience. So there's a website which is called japanriders.com, and this is where basically I got my bike and all these English and American folks that are there. The forum is rather quiet. Mostly they mention the forum because, or they use the forum because they want to, you know, they want to meet, or there are events, or there's some very local Japanese information that they want to share. So there are a lot of Americans on that site, and I know that there are army bases here, right? So if you have questions, why don't you look at that and talk about your problems with them? And once that's done, I mean, it will make it easier. Now, for the German audience, I don't want to tell you to stay away from there, but there isn't really a point, because they have like a post a day or less, if at all. And then when one serious question shows up, suddenly you're gonna have 15 responses in a day because it's a relevant question. So that's not a website or a forum to mess around with. It's something more local, right? But if Steven wants to come here, then maybe it's a good idea to ask Americans who've done the whole transferring thing, rather than some crowd sitting on his BMW talking about shit he has no idea about. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed, and just for you, one English speaking vlog just for you. Show it to your friends, don't show it on Facebook. I don't want my fucking colleagues to know about this shit. Yeah, take care, enjoy the ride. Feel like an idiot speaking English, at least at the moment. At work there's nobody listening but some Japanese guy who speaks a lot worse than I do, so at the moment there's like more, and they're all like from English speaking countries. I feel a bit like a douche. Anyway, always remember, among the blind, the one-eyed is the king. So, have a nice day.